Just want to give a quick intro. This is the restoration of the bodywork on a 1993 cbr900rr fireblade. I'm going to show some certain ways that I do things, some tips and tricks, and also some things to look for in case you're looking online to make sure you don't buy a bike that's full of aftermarket parts. The goal of this video for me was that if you bought one of these bikes and it didn't have any original paint on it, that I'm giving you enough information that you would be able to restore it back to the original specs. So we're going to get right into the restoration. If you have any questions, just ask in the comment section. Laid down. It's ready for all the decals. When I'm getting ready to mask one of these off to do the blue, I usually take a little fine line tape, run it along there, and then I make a template. This is just tape. I lay it on real thick, then I take a razor blade and cut it there. That way when I put it on the other tank, it makes everything go a little quicker. And then I'll do my measurements. I'll mark out some spots on the bottom and measure up so I make sure I got it right. Most of the time you don't have another tank to do that with, so I'm gonna go ahead and give like all the measurements as if you don't have another tank to go off of. Starting to lay everything out. I got my templates on. Following this line here is 2 3/8. Then from here, the top of that line is 3 1/8. This just kind of tells me about where it is, but once I did my measurements, I had to move that up a little bit. The gap of the line is 8 1/2, and then 9 1/4 to the top. So I already have this measurement here, so I'll bring that over and then I'll do that measurement up. Then I can run my blue stripe over. I got these transferred over. That lines up real good. I did the measurement and it's right. And I got this on. So I can start putting the blue stripe on. This is 1/4 inch tape here. So from the raised edge, you got a 1/4 inch before the blue starts. Notice how that's rounded too. I know a lot of people just point them off. Kind of matches that decal. So you definitely want to round it off. Just taking a piece of tape from the edge there to this body line. Just a quick way to see if it lines up. See, it touches there. It follows that line right there. All the stripes are laid out, so let's put some blue on. Try not to go too crazy and put it on too thick along those lines. Got the blue on, got the whole thing cleared. Now I need to sand it again and clear it. I got to get this smooth because that decal goes there, and if this isn't smooth, you can see it. I'm gonna clear for the second time. This will be nice and smooth so that we can put our decal on there and not have that step up. Getting ready to put the orange decal on. From here to here is 1 5/8". I always run a fine line tape straight through there. It sets the stagger. If you look, the orange is set back just a little bit. What I usually do, there's a little body line here. I'll take a piece of tape, I'll measure it from here to here, and I'll cut it, and I'll have it sitting on the other one. That way I know basically where to put that. And then that'll tell me where that goes, and then I just gotta measure it back. So I got that lined up with the hole. That'll set my stagger. I have that there. So I'm gonna go to the top of that. And then that's where the orange will start coming through. So I can go ahead and start putting these on now. Spray the back. Go ahead and spray the tank with this. This is a solution that I make up. It's just dish soap and alcohol. Cool, got that one on now. I just gotta flip it around and do the process on the other side. So I pretty much do the same thing on this side. That hole there lines up with that, which gets the stagger where I want it. And then I got my blue line there. I'll just be setting that up, you know, right there. Got both of them on. See how it's got that little bit of stagger there where it's set back a little bit. I'm gonna re-clear this because that's such a high transition, and I gotta put the wings on there. But I'll wait 24 hours just in case there's a little moisture left in here. Getting ready to put the wings on. I got all my markings. This one in the center is just to show that it's straight from one side to the other. Then there's a body line here that curves. If you come over here, the wing touches that body line that I have marked off. The A is 3/8 of an inch down. And if you feel these from the factory, you can kind of feel this a little bit. But this is all one decal with the wing and that. So you have to sand it as smooth as you can get it here so you don't get a hump there when you put it on. But off to the side, you still want to be able to feel it a little bit. So pretty much you're sanding that smooth right around that area. All right, let's get these things on. I got it on there. I haven't started squeezing it down yet. But there's my 3/8 of an inch. And that is where it goes up and touches the body line. This is part one of a series I'm going to be doing. Kind of doing a real big deep dive into the cbr900rr, be the 93, 94 versions. Giving all the measurements, where the color's supposed to be, how everything's supposed to be, how it was from the factory, where the decal goes. This is just the first one, so we'll be looking forward to showing you guys the rest of the bike as we go through it. Let's get some measurements of the front, where this goes. You can tell that the H pretty much lines up with that hole. And it's down a 1/2 inch. Pretty much nestled up against that one right there. These here, they only go one place. They just follow that line right there. All right, for the side blue, basically you want to fit your mid piece up because that line follows right onto your mid piece. Follows along this line. It's about halfway, and it's 7 inches to the top of it. For the side blue, basically you want to fit your mid piece up because that line follows right onto your mid piece. Follows along this line. It's about halfway, and it's 7 inches to the top of it. Now I want to hold this nose piece up. This nose piece is all decal. You notice the color's off a little bit right there because that part is paint. It's even off a little bit from the decal itself too. And what I'm going to do is eliminate the decal on the front, and I paint those on too. That way that matches that, that matches that. We're ready to start laying some of the blue down. little clear. Got all the clear on there. It'll get a red triangle decal on it. Let's get some measurements of the front where this goes. You can tell that the H pretty much lines up with that hole. And it's down a 1/2 inch. Pretty much nestled up against that one right there. These here, they only go one place. They just follow that line right there. Moving on to the center pieces. This is all OEM. It's never been painted. Let's take a look at the back. It doesn't really follow anything. Kind of masked off a little funny. We'll flip it over and we'll get some measurements. Noticing that the R starts right there. And then there's hardly any space there. Just barely any space right there. It kind of only fits in one spot. So we'll get some measurements on the rest of it. This here is all decal. This blue is decal. This is paint. The decals that you get aftermarket, this is separate from the red. So we got a way to kind of fix that to make it look more OEM. I want to show a little trick that I do with these. This is a factory decal. That blue and orange are seamless. They're all part of one. On the aftermarket ones, this and this is separate. You can kind of see that color's off a little bit. They usually put it on and probably mask off to it and go to here. Before I take the decals off, I mark that line there. And what I'm going to do is paint the blue all the way up to here. And then I'll put the orange decal on. It'll show me exactly where it goes. That leaves the blue. I always have a couple blank decals. That way when I go to do this, I can hold them up. I can always check my spacing. Seeing that part will be painted blue. That way I don't have to put a decal on there later. Wanted to show something quick. How crazy is this? This piece has been painted. This is the original. They got the white and the blue mixed up 100%. Where this is supposed to be white and the bottom's supposed to be blue. And this one, the bottom is white and the top is blue. I imagine that didn't look pretty good when they went to put that on. The red decal is 3 inches, measuring from there. Measurement from here to here is 2 inches and a quarter. From the bottom up, from the bottom up, it's 3 3/8. At the back, it's 4 1/8. The blue starts and hugs that line right there in front of that hole. With the tape measure butted up against there, the blue's 5 3/4. Measuring from this tip down to where the red starts is 9 3/4. Measuring right along with the fairing bolt hole to the top of the red is 6 inches. I just peeled this back a little bit. I want to show you. This is the way you can tell if this is an OEM decal or not. The edge has a little bit of blue on the OEMs. I peeled it back a little bit. You can see the blue up on it. This is the left side. The measurements are all the same. I just want to show where the CBR decal starts. It's cut right around that first one. And then you got to cut into the R a little bit. I want to just show you something. I'm starting to mask all this off. I got this lined up. That probably doesn't look correct, how this goes past it, and that'll be white there. But that's actually how it was from the factory. As soon as it dries, we're gonna start clearing. So here's the piece all done. That's what I was talking about, using paint there instead of a decal. That way this and this matches perfect. That actually matches this perfect too. That fits up like that, and everything matches 100%. Okay, the A is just above that first hole. The H is totally in line with that right there, and it's 3/8 of an inch down. The blue is 5 inches in the front, 2.5 at the back, and at the back it's 1 7/8, and on the front from here to here is 2.5 inches. Moving over to the bottom left, the blue's all the same measurements. I took them from this lip here, not the outer lip. The Honda sticker on the left side is totally in line with that second hole. It's 1 3/4 inches up. Just want to show these. I got them all stacked up. How the lines are pretty close to them. This piece here has been painted, the one on the bottom. Look how far off that is. It's off quite a bit. Yeah, that bottom piece, I went to grab it to start prepping it, and once I grabbed it, I could tell right away that that wasn't down far enough. It just looked funny, and then when I held it up to the other ones, I'm like, wow, it's way off. The back side of these are usually masked off pretty good. There's like a little thing there. They're not all like that. But these are usually masked off pretty straight. Sometimes there's overspray on these from the factory. Unlike the mids here. This one's not even all that bad actually, but usually they're masked off like a little kid did it. But yeah, these are usually pretty straight. So when you're masking the back of these, just try to make it as the same as the front. When you come around, just follow the same line. Back side's done, so I'll be able to flip these over and prep the other side. I'll mask this whole thing off so it doesn't really get all that overspray. Getting ready to spray the white on the bottom pieces. I have this masked off because there's factory paint underneath there, and it shows exactly where it was. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the white, then I'll unmask it, then I'll clear the whole thing, and then when I go to spray the blue, I'll just be able to mask it the opposite way. I'll be putting 3 coats of this white on, and then we'll get it cleared. I got the white all sprayed. If you remember, one of these was measured wrong, and the white actually went to there, so that spacing was too small. So I got that in the correct spot. Gonna go ahead and start clearing. I'll be putting 2 coats on, and then we'll go back and mask and put that blue on. All ready to start laying the blue down. All the clears laid down. Next we'll unmask all this. Then we can start putting the red decals on. This says CBR right here. Just want to show something real quick. This is fine line tape. I use it because if you use regular tape, you can see how it kind of bleeds through and it's not a straight line. Then I mask tape up to it. I always remove that tape first because it seems like if you remove it at the same time with the fine line, you run into problems. This leaves a nice crisp line. How long do you wait before you take it off? It depends on the clear. Some clear you can wait a day. This is about a half an hour for the clear that I'm using. Sometimes if you wait too long when you go to peel it off, it'll actually leave a jagged line because it's pulling from the paint. It's just ripping it off. Putting the Honda decal on here. It starts right above here. It goes totally in line with this. And from here to here, where the top of the H will be, is 3/8 of an inch. Got this cleaned with alcohol. I'm gonna spray a solution on there. Water, dish soap, a little bit of alcohol in there. This goes right above the A. Get it in line there. come down just a little bit. Right there. That's in line with that. Squeegee all this water out of it. Wipe it down, look for any air bubbles, which I don't see any. Then I'll wait a little while, let it dry a little bit before I peel this off. Otherwise it usually tends to pull the sticker back off, so I let it sit for just a few minutes. Moving along to the back, I know I've mentioned before, they always crack right there. Must just be a stress point. When I fix these, I usually weld up both sides and then I still reinforce the back side because they can crack again after. I also want to show you from the factory, this is hard lined. What they do is they paint the white, then they put the blue on, and then they put the stripes on. If you look real close, you can see some white there. These stripes aren't always 100% butted up against, and sometimes you can see a little white coming through. If you're ever looking at one of these online, usually the aftermarket ones, it's hard to tell, you know, if you're looking on the marketplace or whatever. These are usually thinner. If this is thinner and this back piece that's white is blue, it's always aftermarket. So I'll go ahead and give you some of these measurements. We'll go ahead and do that now, and then we're going to start fixing this one. Then from the R forward, it's 1.5 inches. So from the top, it's 3/8 of an inch. I usually just use 2 pieces of fine line tape, butt it up against each other, puts it in the right spot. You can see where they just butted that up right there. This is hard lined here too. Like I said, they put that blue on and then they put the decals on after and try to butt it up against there as good as they can. Usually Honda's really good with that, but every once in a while you can still see a little white coming through where it's not perfect. Got all my tail pieces straightened. I'm gonna mask this off in here, and then I'll spray the white, then I'll take it off, then I'll clear the whole thing. I want to show the back side. That's factory, the way they just kind of masked them off. They didn't spend much time making the backside look nice. I'll give these measurements for where all these go to. So I got the white laid down. I masked that off so I know where to mask it off again when I go to do the blue. And we're gonna go ahead and put a coat of clear over the whole thing. Go ahead and get those two, then we'll be all done. Got a couple of coats of nice clear over it. Get it sand down, and then we'll mask off for that blue. I'm going to start laying the blue down. Doing 2 of these at once. It'll probably take 4 coats of this blue, and then I'll actually clear this because all these lines are actually hard, so they don't have to be buried with the clear. Got 4 coats of blue on. We're ready to start laying the clear down. Done clearing the blue. It'll sit for probably about 25 minutes. Then I'll start taking the masking off. That blue looks so good when it butts up with that white paint. It's got that cool red stripe that goes through there. From this outer edge here, it's 2 5/8 of an inch over, and it starts 3/16 of an inch down. Got these covers here. They're raw plastic. A lot of people end up painting them. These were painted. So you can't paint them because they don't look right, so I'm going to use a vinyl dye on them. See how it has that plastic look? But it looks nice and fresh. I use it in a paint gun, but they also have it in a spray can. 1993 cbr900rr. This is only part of the parts here that we got done. I'll go ahead and show all the others after we take a look at these. Can't wait to see these 2 bikes back together again. Here's round 2 of the parts. How nice is that blue up against that white?